So, very important lesson. Now, every lesson is important, but this lesson will help us to understand how this Eastern wisdom works. So, I have made a title: We Need to Understand How We Are Real Self, not to prove it. How we are real self. We need not to prove it. Are we existence, consciousness, and bliss? Another way to say how. Oh, you are Dennis, but why you are Dennis? So you will say, yeah, you seem to be crazy. But in the background, we have the means of knowledge. My parents have given the name. Look at my ID. I have my name is Dennis. You see, my name is Dennis. At this time I was born. So you see that is how you need not to prove it, but you show the process by which you help me understand you are Stephen, you are Dennis, you are Webber, you are Terry, you are David. So that is why I put the title, We Need to Understand How We Are Real Self, not to prove it. Not to prove it. I believe you understand, but let me give you another example. Earth is round. I don't believe it. So then you are crazy. Because the science shows the very process by knowledge to make you understand that Earth is round. Are you clear? Because before I pick up other verses, we have to understand this process of knowledge. Total of all the angles of a square is 360 degree. I don't believe it. Do you see that? Now you will laugh at it. You don't believe it. I'm purely talking in a the very process of knowledge. The the total of all the angles of a triangle is 180 degree. Prove it. So how we start proving it? First we have to believe the total of all the angles of a square is 360 of it, or triangle is 180 degree. And then I say, okay, complementary angle. I have, you see that? We have complementary angle. We prove it opposite angle. Then we create a straight line. What is the message here? The message here is very clear that we are not challenging that we are not real self. Did you understand? We are not challenging that we are not real self. Yes. So that is how even the science works, and that is how even the Eastern wisdom works. I give an example. Oh, you're Dennis, but why you are Dennis? Then I'm crazy. So I know Webber is there, Stephen is there, David is there, Sam has joined, Samuel has joined, Terry has joined. So you see what is going on into my mind, in my intellect. Maybe the birth name parents have given you. I know all the possibilities, probabilities, that how and why you are Stephen. Are you understanding that? Fine. I went to the AT&T to have a contract with the phone, so I have an account there. They said, "Show me your ID." So I jokingly said, "You don't see the live person?" "No, no, we want your ID." Process of knowledge. Eastern wisdom. That is why we say it is an instrument of knowledge. Instrument of knowledge. Pay attention, because before I take up the other verses, I need to talk about this. So you see that I gave an example. We have a geometrical theorems, the total of all the angles of a square is 360 degree. Prove it. So why I should prove it when you already told me? So I prove it so that my intellect creates an understanding, it moves into that level of awareness. So simple. That is how we do it in science. That is what we do in Eastern wisdom. Earth around, you believe it, and then you prove it. Same way, we are the real self. So we are not discarding and rejecting. We are not the real self. The same way we prove it by the geometrical questions in the problem, we follow the process. And that very process is explained in the Eastern wisdom. Does that make a sense to you? Say yes. So we are all scientific. So learning, by listening and learning, we move to that state of awareness where we realize that we are the real self. I had a doctor in Phoenix, and she said that why you go on teaching through the text. I said, why you teach from your text of biology and medicine? Why you teach physiology from the text? Why don't you teach on your own? And she left a couple of years ago. Well, let them leave. Because your intellect, your mind is not receptive to that level of understanding. You have to prove by your intellect, not that we are not real self. We have to prove by intellect that we are the real self. We have not to prove, we have not to disprove that the total of angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. We have to prove it. Why? I can say that scientists have already proved it, so why should I prove it? Then you remain crazy, you remain ignorant. That is the way of Eastern wisdom. Did you get it? Take an example. Do namaste. Why I should do namaste? Why I should do namaste? I have one guy in New Jersey group, and when I do namaste, everyone does namaste in that group except, and he just moves his hands a little bit like this and brings it down, as if he is doing a favor to me. But you have to understand the very process. So, namaste with emotion and feeling, let me keep aside my ego so that I can listen and learn. Every concept and every principle has a process of understanding. So, who is a seeker? Seeker picks up the principle and follows the process, reaches to the realization that I am the real self. Did you get it? That is the journey at the highest level of a seeker. Then another problem comes. What is the another problem? Can you imagine? What the teacher is saying and what your mind understands. There's a big gap. There's a big gap. In science, it is very easy. You can prove it at the objective level, but it is purely at the subjective level. There is an emotional poison. Your mind says, I'm already emotionally upset. Doctor has branded me that I have a chronic anxiety. So you're in that moment, you have already lost touch with what you are listening from the teacher. That is another problem of not able to realize the real self. We try to understand by our own temperament, by our own past impression. That is why the masters say purify the mind. You see, understand clearly. Very clear. So we should, and what is the first practice? The Namaste and the Mangalacharan. But with the emotion, with the feeling inside. I don't know, I'm doing a favor to you, favor to the teacher by doing Namaste. No! The process is that you are doing Namaste for your own selfish interest, to keep aside your ego in order to be receptive. See that? See, that is how this Eastern wisdom works, because this is one of the greatest texts. So I thought better to, it just came to my mind in the morning, and I said, no, let me make you understand that. So what is there is a problem and there is a solution. Problem is ignorance. Earth is round. I have understood it intellectually. It remains the dry knowledge you don't realize unless we follow the process of knowing. Process of knowing. Total of all the angles of a triangle is 180 degree. It's already there. So that is why I always repeat again and again, belief, pending, inquiry. That is what we do in science. So instead of belief, you say it is a hypothesis. We say it's a belief. I gave a couple of examples. I went to the AT&T. They said, "No, show your ID." I'm an alive person. I jokingly said, "Why don't you look at this alive person?" We know the very process. By the process, my name is this, my home address is this, and then we will. Same way. We have a challenge how to know the process to prove that the real self alone is, the rest is false. Process. We have to follow the process. We have not to follow the process. Why your name is David? Why you are saying that I'm the real self? That will not work. I have not to put the logic which comes into my intellect because of the impurity of the mind. So, because of that impurity in the mind, oh, who are you? So, I'm Stephen. Why you're Stephen? So, that's a crazy question. Are you getting it? We are real self, belief. Now we will prove. And that is what we have done in last few sessions. We are not a waker, we are not a dreamer, we are not a sleeper. We are. Did you see that process? The last few sessions. Understand it clearly. Understanding is very important. I have been telling you. At the highest, if you are a higher level of a seeker, you only need to understand. When you tell me that your name is David, so my intellect processes everything instantly without wasting a time. Maybe your parents, maybe you have changed the name, but yes, you are David, so it's confirmed. Now I will address you as a David or a Jack. So why not you say that, let me address myself as a real self? That I will not do. That I will not do. You see? So because the mind is impure, the mind is ignorant, mind does not follow the very process of knowing. So why? Because of the impurity, because of the ignorance, because of the projection. I believe you are getting it. Say yes. So we say the nature of the real self is pure consciousness. One consciousness, many appearances. So we are proving for myself. I'm proving for myself. A person abuses and a person appreciates. Behind that, there is only one consciousness. Do you see that? There is only one consciousness. Behind the gender, differences in the gender, behind the appearances of a gender, there is only one consciousness. Behind the child or the old age, like me, there is only one consciousness. So one consciousness, many appearances. Is there any problem? Think. That is why we say listening and learning from a teacher, followed by the contemplation. Why you listen and learn from the teacher? Because the Eastern teacher follows the principles of the Eastern wisdom. That is how you have to put the logic. Is any cell contains 180 degree? No, it has to be in the geometry only. That is why it is important to listen to the teacher who teaches from. Teacher may deviate. Oh, you have a beautiful vision and experiences. Very good. Now you have realized. But after a few days, that experiences dissolves. Then the teacher and the seeker both are in a problem. That is what we have been doing. So the same awareness persists in waking, dreaming, and the deep sleep states. Consciousness is the unchanging foundation of all our experiences. My experience, your experience, all experiences are manifestation of a single underlying consciousness. And that is considered, that is claimed as a God in religion. Now I have seen that the dog has entered into the temple or the church, and even the God cannot save themselves from the dog. We are putting a wrong logic. Why it is a wrong logic? For the dog, there is no self-inquiry. Dog has gone to the temple and church to find out if there is something to eat. Finished. It's a wrong logic. Illusion of a separate knowledge. That is what we discussed in a couple of the sessions, that all knowledge is one, the mirage of multiple knowledges. Knowledge of David, knowledge of Stephen, knowledge of Terry. No, no. It means I have many knowledges. That is another problem of the process of understanding. Thinking we have distinct knowledge of a wall, knowledge of a computer. No, knowledge of the wall. So it means the knowledge of the wall is there, knowledge of Stephen is there, and then the knowledge of the self is there. So I have already created multiple knowledges. So my process of understanding is already rejected by my own logic. Are you getting it? So there is a knowledge of the self, and then there is a knowledge of the knowledge of the Stephen. Do you see? That is why I told you what I told you. Object as manifestation of the knowledge. Knowledge of an object or object of the knowledge. That I need to understand. Huh? Knowledge of a David or David of knowledge. Why? Because the knowledge is taking place in the consciousness. Knowledge itself is the consciousness, it cannot be separate. It cannot be two. Knowledge of the consciousness, mind consciousness now is reflecting through the mind. Eyes are reflecting the same consciousness on the wall, and the knowledge is taking place on the wall. It does not mean the knowledge of the clock and the monitor and you all is also not taking place. Mind excludes the rest. What knowledge? So it's not David, it is David of knowledge, it is not the knowledge of the David. I have to apply this all the time. I have to live into that awareness all the time. That is what the understanding is. Understanding is awareness. So then all the master says there is a false I, there is a real I. If you have many knowledges, who created this false I? Do you see that? Again, remember this fact. What is the fact? I've been telling you, sum total of all the angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. How do I understand the very process? That process we are going through, the false I, transcending the ego to realize the true nature. There is a false I is created. That false I says knowledge of self, knowledge of David, knowledge of Bev, knowledge of Stephen, knowledge of Dennis, knowledge of Jadis. It is the false I. You see how process of knowledge. And you can apply that. Where you can apply that? How changing states of pain and the pleasure instead of unchanging awareness. I miss the understanding of one consciousness and my false I creates, I don't want to attend the session. It is because of I have lot of problems. Our identification with the limited ego obscures our true nature. What is true nature? Infinite, all-pervading, eternal. We are all-pervading, eternal, real self. Tell me if there is any problem. Tell me, we followed the simple logic in the process of knowledge. Then the master says, recognize that impurity. Why it comes? Because of the false I. But what is the definition of the false I? That seems to be, appears true, but it is not true. Explain it further. Why we are explaining the false I? To prove that we are the real self. Oh, that appears true, but it is not true. Why it is so? Because it is constantly changing. Don't you see that I have been using the I living into this body when I was born 5 years old, 10 years old, 20 years, 50 years, now 60, more than 60 years old? Oh, that I remain the same. Yes, same I. It is in waker, sleep, and the dream. It means I cannot be the waker. Waker changes. Waker dies, gives rise to sleep. Sleep dies, gives rise to dream. Dream dies, gives rise to. Look at it. Clarity. Ah, I want more clarity, so I have to continue the journey. Why I say that you appear true, but it is not true. What you are made up of, five elements plus three gunas, which created your body, breath, mind, intellect, and the ego, they are constantly changing. But there is something which is unchanging that we have already understood is the real self. This is what the master meant in this text. That is what we are trying to understand. The more you understand the process of knowledge, when I say you are the real self, check your mind. Oh, let me, yes, you are saying it. Let me believe it. I respect you. That's why I'm. No! Respect your intellect. Follow the process. In a science class, do you say that the total of all the angles of a square is 360 degree? Okay, sir, I believe you, but I don't want to believe you. Do you say that? But when we enter into the spirituality, we start raising the questions. Unnecessary, unwanted questions. Problem? We are not a seeker. So what the teacher has to do? Teacher says you are right. Even if you are wrong, you are right. Go ahead. Continue. You don't attend the session regularly in order to appreciate and understand. Don't attend. Scientist knows that the earth is round and you don't want to know the very process why it is round, what the scientist will say? Okay. Yes, so we will start with another Shanti mantra so that it fits rightly into this journey of self discovery by understanding. It says Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamaduchyate Purnasya Purnamadai Purnameva Vashishyati. Whoever might have heard from different teachers. So what it literally means, that is infinite. Now you see where the master is taking us. I'm adding this mantra, it is not there in the text in order to make you understand clearly, to make it simple. So, what the master is saying first, belief, I have already explained you. That is real self, that real self is infinite, and all are manifestations of the real self. So, if that is infinite, so all the manifestations has to be infinite. First line. The infinite proceeds from the infinite. Second line. You might have many examples in your mind. Then taking the infinitude of the infinite. infinity, from that real self, we see the infinite manifestation of this universe. We are understanding the very process. Universe is also the infinite. It remains as the infinite alone. So there is only one thing, that is the real self, all pervading one consciousness. You can also say the unity in diversity. So let us look at the first line. What is there? The infinite nature of the reality, recognizing the vastness of the existence. Science says, oh, there is one solar system, then we have galaxies and many galaxies, infinitude. We have already proved it thousands of years ago. Thousands of years. We always say, if that existence is infinite, everything proceeds from that infinite, it has to be infinite. So that's why can you find the one corner of the space in the universe? Find the corner. Find the corner. No, but what about the ocean? You have millions of waves. You cannot count it. Manifestation is the waves and water is. So the first line says that is infinite, and so this is also infinite. That is infinite, real self. So all the manifestations are also infinite. Whether you take, we use the word this earth planet where we live, many earths, millions of earths, infinite number of earths. I'm not teaching any religion with a blind belief. We have to understand that very process of knowledge. One solar system, many solar systems, galaxies, Milky Way, continue. So all are manifested, yes. From where it manifested? From one real self, one consciousness. But that consciousness remains unmanifest. And that is why we are trying to understand that we are the real self. Second line. Second line says the origin of manifestation. Origin of any manifestation is the source of so-called creation. Infinite proceeds from the infinite. Countless waves arising from the boundless ocean. Countless rays of the light emanating from one sun. Metaphor. Metaphor. Just understanding that. Very process of knowledge. Purnasya Purnamadaya. Now he is explaining the very process of creation, exploring the mechanics of manifestation, observing how a single seed can produce a tree with countless leaves, each leaf containing the potential for a new tree, each seed. This is what the process of manifestation. And the last line, Purnasya, Purnameva, unchanging nature of the infinite consciousness, realizing the constancy. One thing is constant. We have already understood in the sleep, waking, and the dream state. Your body changes, gender changes, but one consciousness, it remains the infinite alone. The space cannot be, you cannot break the space into the parts, it remains one, whether it's your house, my body, your body. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamaduchyate Purnasya Purnamadai Purnameva Vashishyati. I'll be sending you this so that you can remember this. So how to realize that real self is the pure consciousness? That is the question solved by this master. Not by practice, but by non practice, by understanding. Process listening, learning, contemplation, and reflection, and then followed by, yes, so called you can say a non practice or a practice in the beginning. One day will come when the practice leaves you, drops by itself, dissolves by itself. As long as the mind says, I have to do it, keep on doing it. Keep on doing it. And that is why I said you on the Mondays and Thursdays, Mangalacharan, important. Contemplation, reflection, important. Or you can say the four pillars of the spiritual growth: listening and learning, contemplation, reflection. What happens in reflection? You personalize the wisdom to make it relevant to your journey. What is contemplation? Engage actively with the knowledge to internalize its meaning. And followed by the practice. That is how we. So, what happens by this? There is an inward focus. Mind that is scattered in millions of directions is gathered within. Inward focus. Simple. These are the simple answers. Then, what happens when you have an inward focus? There is only one consciousness. There is a choiceless awareness. You start living in a moment. That is what many masters, I think many people refer to me. I have read that book, Power of Now. It has come from this text. We shift in perception. What is the shift in perception? Do you remember? Knowledge of David? No. David of knowledge. How fast you can do it, how easily you can do it, how naturally you can shift your attention. You are already there. You may not recognize, but you are already there. You are already there. And you have already explained you in the verse 1 and 2 that preparatory phase, 5 stages of preparation. If you have not heard, so you hear it, listen to that again, contemplate and reflect. In the third verse, what is the third verse? Third verse, we understood the waking state. Waking state. What is the waking state? Many objects of knowledge, many experiences, variety of objects, variety of experiences, one consciousness. One consciousness. In the fourth verse, so that you remember, fourth verse, we talked about the dream state, the same thing. Same thing. The dreamer has variety of objects, dreamer has variety of experiences, one consciousness. In the sleep state, what happens in the sleep state? We already have. We understood that consciousness is distinct from the object. Who perceives the object, the false I or the mind? But the mind is absent. So I have an experience of absence of objects. Plus, I have an experience of relaxation. Also, the joy. I had a good and sound sleep. But who recognizes mind is not there. But at a later stage, when I wake up, I recognize, oh, so means what? All experiences are changing. It is due to the presence of objects, it is due to the absence of objects. Why you said it is absence of object? Well, what is this? My left hand. In the absence of light, you cannot recognize the left hand. Oh, yes, you're right. What is this? There is nothing. No, there is a light. There is a consciousness in sleep also. How can you say no? Light is still there, but it is unmanifest. That is why we are doing the process of knowledge to understand and realize it. It is there. So, why we use to refer to light? It is the light of the consciousness. Go to that room, find out how many people are there. So, you go to the room and there is a total darkness. You come back and you tell me there is no one. Who says this? You were there. So, we refer to as a light, consciousness, as if it is a light of consciousness. Oh, there is a light of awareness who recognized that there is no one, but I was there. Mind was going outside. Mind wants to look at the object so that it can say knowledge of an object. That is the problem of the mind. So in the seventh verse, beautifully Master concludes, understand, knowledge is different from the object. Knowledge is different from the experiences. Consciousness is distinct from the objects it perceives. Light is different from the hand it perceives. What it perceives, hand. But this light is different. Nothing happens to this light. I bring my hands down, light is still there. Consciousness is still there. That is the beauty of the Eastern West. And that is why I left modern psychology and counseling. Can you see that beauty? So, not different from the consciousness, not different from the knowledge. So, I can say dream knowledge, sleep knowledge, waking knowledge. Knowledge is one. Thus, in all the three states, it is one. One consciousness. Consciousness is the same. Different states, different objects, different experiences. So, what is the last point I want to bring it? Consciousness is distinct from what it perceives. Consciousness remains unchanged. The same consciousness perceives in waking, persists. In waking, dream, and the sleep state, consciousness maintains continuity day after day. What it means? Sun rises and sets. That consciousness never rises, never sets. That is why it is also present in the sleep state. That is why it is present in the dream state. That is why it is present in the waking state. Last point. Understanding the very nature of that existence or consciousness is the key to self-realization. Close your eyes. Eyes are closed. And again, knowledge of the eyes. Yes, go with the knowledge of the eyes, but maintain your awareness. It is basically, huh? The eyes of knowledge. Because knowledge is happening in you, not in me, not anywhere, not outside, not in the eyes. So pay attention. Okay. Yes. Be the place of the body. The space outside. Space of knowledge. Space of awareness. Instead of knowledge, you can say, if your mind easily accepts and, oh, you are right, the space of awareness. Yes. Awareness is one. So what is happening? You are separating knower from the known, seer from the seen. Oh, the place of the body, you said. So body of knowledge, body of awareness. Very good. Posture of knowledge, posture of awareness. Now you see that you have uneasy posture, you adjust and align. So that movement and adjustment of knowledge, it is not the knowledge of adjustment. So you are clearly seeing, here is the seer and here is the seen. Seen are many, means objects are many, experiences are many. Why they are experienced? You experience the space, you experience the body, you experience the uneasiness, you experience the comfort. Oh, yes, yes. Just like we are proving, uh, what we are proving, all the angles of a triangle is 180 degree. Not even a point of degree less, not even point of degree more. No, no, but why you said this? Because of the impurity of the mind. Mind will start. Do you need that? We need an extraordinary awareness and attention to explore the real self. That is why I use the word pointed. Okay, being comfortable, being. Why you use being? Knowledge, consciousness. So you are not saying me to do any practice. That is why I use the word being comfortable. I have been using it regularly. Did you ever notice that? Oh, being. It is not becoming. Being comfortable. Comfort of being. Comfort of knowledge. So even if you can move the body hundred of times, it does not make any difference. The highest yoga. But we have to pass through the process of becoming a seeker, and then we say, no, you cannot move the body. Maintain the stillness. It will not work. Being comfortable. Oh, yes. Oh, being comfortable, so mind wants to know. Consciousness is already knows it. That you are always comfortable. It is the comfort in the body. It is not the comfort of the body. The mind, because of the ignorance and the impurity and the projection, is always looks for comfort of the body. What is the comfort of the body? The pleasure. What is pleasure? Pleasure is short lived. Oh, so I'm comfortable now. Really? Can you remain comfortable in this position 24 hours? No. So it is not the comfort of the body, it is the comfort in the body. That is the being part. Do you need to do any practice? No, I need to understand only. Very good. And then being carefree. Oh, again you said being carefree. Yes, carefree of knowledge. Carefree of knowledge. From from whom I have to be carefree? From the crazy mind. It still brings in the thoughts and feeling and emotions and projections. Okay. They are the objects. It is the thought of knowledge, not knowledge of a thought. Do you see that? Any thought has an object. So it means thought of a knowledge, object of a knowledge. No, it also has an experience. Oh, so experience of knowledge is also there. And mind says you are confusing me. No, calm down. Just see it. What to see? Who is seeing it? Seer and the seen are different and separate. What is seen? Thought. What is seen? Thought as an object. What is seen? The thought plus object plus experiences plus falsi. Oh, they are all seen, yes. That is why you say that I'm carefree. I'm not carefree. And the seer? Ah, the seer is sitting, unchanging, unchanging. So, what is that choiceless awareness? Falsa is not making a choice that this is me. I'm carefree, I'm not carefree. It is not making a choice. Why? They are the same. I've been telling you. I've been telling you the total of angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. Yes, you told us, yes. Oh, the process, understanding. Now I'm taking you to purely what I used to call as a non practice. I see the audio recording is happening, the wave is there. Oh, so there is a software, there is a monitor, and then there is, you see, single thought has so many objects. Monitor on the window interface, I see that software, I see the waves, and I see the waves continues to change and manifest. That is my experiences. Many variety of objects, variety of experiences, but being is one, consciousness is one. So that is what I mean by being carefree. Yes, let us make it more pragmatic. A guy comes to you who is angry over you. So you see the space is an object, then you see the guy, you know the name, you know the, oh, they all are objects. And then you have a past memory with that guy, so that they are your experiences. Anger is an object, anger of knowledge, person of knowledge, name of knowledge, experiences of that knowledge. So the seer is different from the seen. That is the meaning of being carefree. Did I say anything less or more? What we understood, that is what I am saying. We have only covered 7 verses. What is going to happen if we cover all the verses? Can you dream? Can you imagine? Being carefree, okay. You can pick up any thought. It is the thought of knowledge, not knowledge. Okay. So look at the breath going and coming out. Examine yourself. How many objects, when I say be aware of the breath going in and coming out, how many objects, how many experiences, where and when you do it by, you reflect yourself. Breath is an object, movement of the breath, and my intellect says, oh, movement is a change. Okay, the change comes from the false eye. Okay, you see that? All the objects in the thought, variety of objects, variety of experiences. One experience, the breath going in, other experiences, breath coming out. When you go a little deeper, you find there is a pause before the breath goes in and after the breath comes out. We understand it. And that pause is also an object, yes. But that pause is the death? No. So the life is different from the breath? Yes. I picked up little subtler concept. We take it so casually, this journey. I have understood that I am the real self. And throughout the day, I live in stress and anxiety, duality and a conflict, problems and suffering. That is our journey we have yet to prove. Again, I'm repeating. Triangle. Sum of all the angles of a triangle is 180 degree. Or square is 360 degree. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your Buddha palms, place it on your eyes, open the eyes inside. Know your experiences, we'll share our experiences. One thought is mind prompts one thought. You talk about the Eastern wisdom, you're all higher level of a seeker, in daily conversation or in responding to the people. And if one says, no, 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 I'm not going into that, is religious, so then you express yourself why it is not religious. The greater and finer the expression is, the better it is. So they will also join. I'll have some. How are you, Dennis?
Thank you, I'm good. And before the lecture practice, one contemplation that ran through my mind is that if the real self is knowledge and all objects are manifestations of this knowledge, then the statement that object of knowledge is true because the object is a manifestation of knowledge.
Beautiful.
And then by the end of the practice, another question popped up in my mind. I'm sure it has been answered some time back, but I just failed to recall the answer. So I will ask it again. If the real self knows itself by itself, what does the mind have to do with this? What is the role of the mind in this process if the real self knows itself by itself?
Yes, what is the role of a mirror when the sunlight is projected and reflected? It is all the manifestation, the role of manifestation is there in the mind. That is one answer.
But can real self know itself by itself without the mind?
Then there is only one. We need two to know something. And that too is the false I. If I am of the nature of the peace and the happiness, do I need even desire to think and contemplate and reflect that I am peace? The moment I think I am peace, I am two. And that too is understood by the mind.
So the very process of knowing has duality in itself.
Yes. Manifestation is a duality, real self is a non dual, pure consciousness. Beautiful. That's a beautiful way to contemplate and reflect. Dennis, how are you, Stephen?
I'm good, sir. Thank you very much. I think with each Saturday's lessons, it becomes clearer and clearer. Today, I was really started out with the whole geometric proof and trying to apply it to this, and then started really breaking down the parts and understanding truly what the space means, the infinite aspects of the space, and then understanding the awareness, aka knowledge, and then and process, and seeing on the fact that I kept going back and forth because, like if you told one of the student today that the angles of a rectangle are 360 degrees, they'll probably just say, okay, I believe you, that's the end of it, we'll move on. There's no proof involved. When we were growing up, at least I was growing up, we always had to prove everything that was going on. Like, I don't get it. So here it's almost like taking what Eastern wisdom is doing and saying, accept it. But my mind has to prove it. And now I'm starting to actually prove it by understanding the importance of that. We've always talked about process, the listening, the learning, and contemplation and reflection. And that's what today was all about. It was just the contemplation, reflection, and trying to prove the infinite space and whatever it is. And it just came back to something that was said earlier in the week which I know I wasn't on, but listening to the lessons was things that are changing are not the real self. And it just kept coming back. So that's where I'm at with all of this. So I'm getting it. I don't know if I can articulate it. And I thank you. My meditation, when we closed our eyes, were just absolute moments of nothing. It was just peaceful and quiet, and I feel I'm getting it. So thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. You summarized everything. Because we have been understanding, and everyone says that the sum of all the angles of a rectangle is 360 degree. We have done in our school days, and then we understand, we keep that awareness all the time. So why we have to follow this process of Eastern wisdom? The day will come. Yes, I'm the real self. Anger, reaction, why you're coming? Imperative of the mind. No need. That is what happens. How are you, Vaibhav?
Thank you, sir. So mine was calm. The understanding is similar as different. Like we create a baseline for us through this Eastern wisdom that we are the real self, and then we work in that direction to prove it and to understand logically that what our actions, how our actions are performing, and then where we are. So
Yes,
it's given direction to us, that direction toward that we are the real self.
yes, in the phenomenon world, we that process has been done subconsciously, habitually, or by listening, by reading, because we are living in a world of duality. Why I said so? I look at the Terry, instant awareness, her gender. I look at the Weber. I'm instantly aware of the gender, the name. You see, lot of things. The whole picture is clear. Why? Because the mind has been doing this. But the mind has not been discovering the real self. That is why we need this process. Be very clear, logical, 100% logical. How are you, Terry?
I'm only thinking of questions.
Okay.
Like, if the infinite proceeds from the infinite,
Yes.
and I can't,
Can you imagine how many questions you can have?
no, I can't imagine.
So every question of knowledge, question of knowledge, question of knowledge. So you already have an answer.
But is that why we say, like, the David of knowledge is because knowledge of David proceeds from the
Yes, yes, yes.
uh,
Infinite questions of knowledge. Knowledge is only one.
they all come from
Consciousness. Yes.
consciousness, which is knowledge.
Pain of knowledge, pleasure of knowledge.
And of meaning that that's where it comes from.
So,
Okay.
pain of knowledge, I want to detach myself. Who wants to detach false I? Where it lives in the mind. So then the principle of attachment and detachment also comes. You will come to know the entire spectrum of this knowledge of the Eastern wisdom. How are you, Sam?
Very good. Appreciate, because you don't often, you often talk about contemplation and reflection, but repeating a clear definition. I think this was the clearest definition that you've given. of what contemplation and reflection is today. So I appreciated that. Contemplation, the absorption of the knowledge, and then the reflection is the application of it.
Yes, 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 yes. But we have to do it all the time.
Yeah.
If I simply attend the session, my false eye says, "Oh, I know it. You are yourself. And you are crazy. I am real self, you are crazy." So neither contemplation nor reflection has been done. I'm just giving an example. I'm not pointing to you. So one has to live that. And when you live that, you are changed. Transformation takes place. So listen to it again, and the moment you have a doubt, go to the previous lesson. You still have a doubt, go to the previous lesson. There, the listening, learning, contemplation, everything is done. So we are almost into the 11th session of this text. So the last 10 sessions plays an important role to have a strong foundation. Do you still remember the 360-degree understanding? Do you still remember the 5 steps? I compressed into the 5 steps. And the first step is all about becoming a seeker and approaching the teacher with the humility. So that approaching the teacher with the humility, not for the sake of a teacher, but for the sake of myself. And then start listening and learning. That is the third step. Contemplation and reflection is the fourth step. Fifth is the realization. So anytime, Terry, your mind asks a question about the body of knowledge, settle into that knowledge. You are free. You can start walking. That is all for today. Thank you very much.